So I'm going to make this very brief because I actually do have some food right next to me, some Jersey Mike's, and I don't want it to get cold, although it's probably going to get cold. And I told myself that I would get this in reward for me making this video today because I need to incentivize myself to actually make this video for whatever reason. Anyways, TGS, at the time of you watching this, may have already ended, but TGS, Tokyo Game Show, is currently going on in Japan. Tokyo Game Show is basically exactly what it sounds like, a show of games in Tokyo. It's showcasing all of the upcoming titles that will be releasing for not only mostly mobile, but some of these games also do make it to PlayStation and Xbox. Right now, PlayStation with the game I'm going to be mentioning in just a moment, but so on and so forth, right? It is a game show where you can show off all of the and advertise your upcoming game that is going to be for the mobile category mostly. Now, all of these games are essentially free to play. Not a single one is pay to play, because that's just kind of what the nature of Tokyo Game Show really is. And furthermore, these games we have been anticipating for quite some time. So to be able to get reveals on a lot of these games is a W, right? Because some of these games we've been waiting for super duper, like I'm talking years before we got any reveal on these games whatsoever, right? Now, we'll get into those games, but let's just start with the most anticipated game of recent times, Anata. Anata and the TGS had a playable demo version of their game at the booths. The biggest takeaways are some of the many important features that will be available at the live version of the game, and the speculated content loop as well. You can work out in the gyms, you can play basketball, and the mechanics that follow with each exercise and basketball playthrough is reminiscent of how the mechanic works in GTA San Andreas. Now, it's undetermined whether or not these workouts will have any effect on your characters and general gameplay, altering things like stat increases and making your Anata characters look swole. It's a cool immersion experience nonetheless. You can harm NPCs in the overworld, which is kind of cool, and as of right now, there is no gore or blood involved like GTA. My guess is due to the Chinese laws, that wouldn't be a reality that comes to fruition, unless NetEase themselves decides to make a different server for global entirely, but that sounds very unlikely as well, considering the costly scope of the game as of now. It's even more interesting considering with a certain character of the roster, you can also arrest NPCs, which makes me wonder what else in terms of elements will they add to make an even more immersive experience. Speaking of, cars in Anata are actually somewhat destructible. I actually haven't seen any footage of cars blowing up, but only windows being broken, I assume, due to NPCs obviously dying in that explosion, that it wouldn't be in the game, but hey, I could very much so be wrong. We also have a reveal of every single character in the game up to this point, but the identities of a few are still unknown. Lastly, the devs have given a general gameplay VOD of Anata, which genuinely has a lot of exciting key points. The gameplay VOD takes place in one of the early story segments of Anata. It seemingly starts off the same way as Marvel's Spider-Man does with the combat sequences. The mission then transitions into an action input-based story mode, which in all due respect was very entertaining with the first watch through. That's pretty much it though, as the VOD was only again an early story mode mission. The space needed to actually download Anata is crazy. It's actually going to be so bad to the point where some of you might not even be able to download this game on your device. Now, this is only the PC version of the game. Mobile is still unknown. It's definitely going to be the most expensive game to download on your device, right? Let's be real here. And when I say expensive, I don't mean like price-wise, right? It's a free-to-play game, but it's going to be the most space-needed game to download on your device, right? Let's be real here. It is a massive open-world game with a lot of environments and certain things you can do in the game that you wouldn't be able to do in your traditional open-world mobile gacha game. It's funny how I'm saying that now. There's been so many games where I can say your traditional open-world mobile game because there's so many out right now, right? And there's so many upcoming. That feels so cool to say because I couldn't say that like 4 years ago. Anywho, yeah, you need a total of around park here, like 100 plus gigabytes to download this on your PC as of now. But the future, this may end up being a smaller number or this may end up increasing depending on the amount. It's obviously going to increase long term, but I mean at the launch of the game, the number could be bigger or smaller depending on how much more content they flesh out for the game in its launch version. And aside from the game space the game needs, we actually do have a release date for a release time frame rather for Anata, which is going to be summer 2026. Now, whether or not this is actually set in stone and confirmed is, of course, going to leave room for, them to correct it, the developers for Anata. And we still have no news about any CBT. My thought process is if it's releasing in summer 2026, then we would have a CBT at the end of this year and then a CBT a month before summer so that the game ends up releasing after that CBT, which is normally how gacha games usually. When I say gacha games, I mean like your traditional, game for mobile, right? Obviously, Anata's not a gacha game anymore, but let's be real here, it's going to be compared to a gacha game from now all the way till the game actually physically launches, right? So I'm calling it a gacha game for now. Anyways, we have no idea when exactly the betas are going to be happening for the game, if we're going to have any betas to begin with. I imagine we'll probably have 1 to 2, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'll keep you all updated whenever we receive news regarding that. That pretty much concludes all of the Anata news minus a dating mission or just regular mission with one of the in-game characters. I'm not sure if this is a story mission or not, but anyways, that's it, I promise. Seven Deadly Sins Origin also had a mass gameplay reveal with what felt like it took ages to actually be revealed to the general public. I mean, I would assume with this being the first open world game for Netmarble, I mean, I guess we can consider Ni no Kuni Crossworlds to be that too, but that game was a flop and it wasn't even that impressive upon its actual launch. With this being the first real open world game from Netmarble, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's no surprise that this game has taken this long to be revealed to the general public because they wanted to make sure that things are actually right, considering they are now stepping foot into a market that has been very competitive for quite some time now and is going to remain competitive and get even more competitive in the immediate future. So not only did they reveal a bunch of the gameplay for the game, they revealed characters, they revealed UI menus. We'll get into all of the key features. It actually was overwhelmingly nice and just a general good experience for a first reveal of a game that we had no idea was going to be real or not from its introduction like years ago. I'm talking like 3 to 4 years ago when this game first got revealed to us, like early Genshin Impact days. Yeah, this game actually looks pretty darn good. First of all, a brand new dev note from the team behind the game states the following. Key combat systems, tag skills, trigger when switching heroes, use a tag gauge, can interrupt boss patterns, buff allies, or counterattack. Burst system, build gauge by landing attacks of the same element, then unleash unique elemental effects for big plays and synergy. Boss design examples, Red Demon, AoE attacks that you can interrupt with tag skills. Albion, 3-phase fight requiring environmental interaction to expose its weak point. The combat system seems reminiscent of a QTE function-like system from other gacha games, notably Wuthering Waves, but there's also incentives for using mono elements in combat because of the elemental gauge and special effects that come along with it. There's no telling that the combat will have more hidden mechanics and synergies as we actually get our hands on a live build, but in general, the combat with the animations and effects look very promising. The key takeaways from the 7 Deadly Sins Origins at TGS include an in-game look at the current UI for the game, very in tune with the current open-world gacha games. If not broken, why fix it? A preview of the full TGS build map that players could traverse with the gameplay demos, in-game summon animations, which I'm sure hits a lot harder for those of you that are familiar with the IP itself. A look at all the current characters the game has produced, including multiple rarities and elements. This furthermore also includes original characters specifically for the game, much like we saw with Kaiju number 8 the game and Sagan Shinomiya. You can play with up to 5 players in a single world. It is also unknown if this allows you to use your team of characters that you can swap around with when in multiplayer. Lastly, characters that change forms during combat, but for this specific character, her transformation is locked behind having a specific weapon, which is assumed to be tied to specific classes, so it might not matter anyways. The devs released a recent video in the form of a trailer highlighting all of the things you should take away with 7 Deadly Sins Origins before they did actually, do their demos and stuff like that at TGS. They also did end up giving a release date for the game and a time finally for the closed beta test that we have been able to sign up for like months now. I don't even know how that works out, But yeah, we have which, by the way, you probably can still sign up for the CBT at the time of my recording of this video if you have not already. So definitely go sign up for the CBT if you want to have a chance to play this game early before it does release. The release date is January 26th for those of you that just wanted that right out the way. January 26th, 2026. Now, the actual CBT starts October 30th, which is actually going to be 4 days or 5 days, 4 days after Duet Night Abyss releases, which is going to make for a very, very hectic immediate future for gacha games in general. So I am definitely very, 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 I mean, I'm hoping I get into the beta, right? Hopefully the content creator privilege works for once, but I am a little bit nervous because, again, there's just so much to play and so much to cover in the immediate future that I just might be a little bit overwhelmed. But this concludes all the 7 Deadly Sins Origins news, and I'm very, very happy that we finally have just news and actual gameplay reveals surrounding this game, because all of that has been unknown for years. And we finally have all of those. And we have a release date to go along with it. They just killed 3 birds with 1 stone. Congrats. Azur Promilia, which I like to call Azur Promising, has finally made their first, as far as I know, official social media account in the form of Twitter, but except this Twitter is only for Japan. So we actually don't have any official social media pages for Azur Promilia for any global region. Very unfortunate. One thing I do want to mention is that there is currently a Azur Promilia that uses the handle, right? They use the handle for Azur Promilia for a fan-made page to go over news surrounding the game. As far as I'm concerned, they haven't uploaded on it for quite some time now, but I don't know how that works out. I'm assuming they're probably just going to add a couple of extra special letters in the handle of the name for the Twitter account that they do decide to make. They definitely will make one for global. It's just taking them forever to do it. I don't know why. Normally, when a game gets revealed, they usually do release the social. They have these official social media accounts ahead of time. Like, for instance, Silver Palace, which they haven't uploaded for quite some time, but that's beside the point. They at least had a social media page when they revealed their game, which is weird. Why Azur Promilia, which is backed by Yostar, by the way, the same company behind Azur Lane, has not made an official social media page for their global side of the game. I don't know. But anyways, we finally have that, so that's nice. We'll have more news surrounding the game officially from the devs themselves. We also did get some more reveals of the game itself and some more bits and stuff you can, you would experience at TGS, which I'll show in this video here. But yeah, in general, this is probably a lot of the stuff you already know regarding Azur Promilia, considering we've had a recent CBT only exclusive to CN though for the game, which, by the way, the game looks glorious. The characters look great. The combat looks great. The content loop looks pretty darn decent, right? With all the things you can do in the game. And the game is very reminiscent to me of Granblue Fantasy, which I was hoping was going to have an open world style game from that IP at some point. But Azur Promilia seems like the game to just take that and, make it into an actual game, open world game. So I am excited about this upcoming game. The combat looks very reminiscent of Granblue Fantasy to me personally. But yeah, that's why I'm personally excited for it. And also the characters look pretty darn good. The models for the characters in game actually look pretty darn good compared to the current market of open world gacha games. Pretty competitive with Wuthering Waves, which has the best current models for their in-game characters, in my opinion at least. And Genshin has stepped it up with their recent non-cried characters, which has been revealed as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it regarding Azur Promilia. A lot of this news you already know, so I don't really need to get too much more into the game itself. But that's the video here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm very excited for all of these upcoming games, despite there being so many upcoming games in the immediate future for Gacha. I could have included some other games in this list, I'll be real, but I felt like those games, it would be like, oh, Girls Frontline is now making a JP thing or something like that. Just a one sentence regarding a game I didn't feel like really need to be covered. But considering I'm going to be doing this daily now going forward, I probably will just being more inclined to just talk about that stuff, right? Even if it's like a little headline, I'll still talk about it in future videos. But yeah, I thought I would give you guys an update. That's it. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go enjoy this food finally because I feel like I earned it after recording this video. For some reason, my brain works like that. I'm very reward driven, so that's kind of my philosophy behind doing something like that in the first place. That's it. Bye bye. I'll see you later.